All right, all right. Welcome to the Outlaw Radio Show. My name is Zach Adams, and I pastor a church located about 25 minutes outside of Athens, Georgia. The name of the church is Calvary 316. If you're local, come hang out with us one Sunday morning. Our service is at 10:30. If you're not local but looking for a good Bible teaching church that teaches verse by verse, chapter by chapter, you can check out our live stream. We stream facebook.com/Calvary316. We also stream on our YouTube channel, which is Calvary316.live. We also stream on my personal X platform, so Zach_Adams. So a lot of different ways you can find us. Join us again Sundays at 10:30. I am joined, as always, by the man that needs no introduction, the maestro of this dysfunction, Pope Creighton Vaughn. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing good. It is a good day. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. We're also got Spice Daddy with us. Spice, how you doing?
Pretty good. What's up, my little pepper poppers?
That's right. We'll get to the pepper poppers in a minute. Vinny is still on the road somewhere in the West. He did a build out for his job of a bus. They turned into a mobile speakeasy. And so he's been traveling the country doing some work, but he'll be back with us next Wednesday. So there's 2 weeks that Vinny wasn't going to be with us. We miss you, brother. Be with us soon. Travel safe and stay out of trouble. A lot of fun things we're going to do tonight. We're actually kind of introducing some new stuff, a few new wrinkles to the show. The topic for tonight, what we'll get to, is we're going to look at Revelation 13. Very interesting passage of Scripture. The passage that deals with Satan, the rise of the antichrist. Also, another character, very concealed from view from the Old Testament prophets. Daniel wrote a lot about the Antichrist, and yet the false prophet. Also a character that emerges there in Revelation chapter 13, and this image of the beast. A lot of controversy, a lot of questions about what exactly that is. For generations, for years, for centuries, people have speculated in all kinds of crazy ways. But with like the rise of AI and superintelligence, very interesting just to look at that passage from kind of a different lens. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that topic. But we've got these segments we've been introducing. And last week we rolled out a brand new top 10 list, right, Justin?
That's right.
Top 10 list where the Pepper Poppers, we're looking at the top 10, your list. This is from your perspective. Authoritative, obviously, but the top 10 missionaries.
With great spice comes great responsibility.
That's true. As far as a recap, the number 10 was the Apostles.
Right.
And then we went,
we had
George Whitefield, and then Jim Elliott. Those
Correct.
were,
Yep.
That was 10, 9, and 8. And we're gonna do 7, 6, 5. We're kind of working our way down. But This is what's cool. So we've been experimenting with some technology. We've been experimenting with AI, with writing intro songs, coming up with logos for these segments. And so bear with us. We're going to try this out. But we have an actual video, audio, custom introduction to this Pepper Popper segment. So with all that being said, Creighton, run it.
Turn it up, it's time to get poppin'. Just a Spice Daddy ho, couldn't no stoppin'. Diving into Christian pop with flair. Movies, books, and faith beyond compare. From the big screen to the pages we read, he's got a spice to fill your every need. With a light and grin, he brings the heat. Pepper Poppers, yo, it's the ultimate beat. Pepper Poppers, spice it up, let's go. Justin's breaking down a Christian show. Movies, books, and faith, he's got the vibe. Spice Daddy's here to keep it live. Pepper Poppers feel the fire, so true. Pop with purpose, he's talking to you.
What's up, my little pepper poppers? Back with another countdown of my top 10 favorite missionaries.
Before you get to that, I'm going to jump in. Did you ever think that you'd become a music producer?
No, and I technically am still not. I'm just really good at just saying, hey, AI, give me a song for this, and it writes it. And
so, like, just so people are aware, last week we had a lot of fun with this.
Right.
We went to Gronk and said, hey, here's the parameters, write a song.
Well, it all started with Creighton's science segment, right? So I'm sitting here, and all I can think of
This
in
was
my
during
head
the show
is
last
during
week,
the
yeah.
show, which often happens in my brain. I'm just sitting here thinking, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and the song keeps playing over my head. I'm like, well, we can't just steal that for
Because
that.
Creighton was doing this if segment,
Right,
The
the ifs.
intersecting of faith and science
Right.
with Pope Creighton.
So that just started the wheels turning. So I was like, Creighton Vaughn. And then it just got to Creighton Vaughn, the science mon, because that's what rhymes with Vaughn.
That's true, yes.
And then that's what I basically put that in there in Grok. And then I was thinking, wow, these are really cool lyrics. I wish there was. So I tried getting Grok to.
It doesn't do music.
It doesn't do music.
Yeah.
So then
True.
Yeah, I Googled it and found an app that does it, and it came up with a great song, and that just spiraled out of control from there. So
It did. We spent several hours after last week's show writing songs and producing music for literally.
Writing and producing are both strong verbs.
It might be
Those are
strong
really
terms.
strong verbs there.
Yeah, I
Yes.
wouldn't say hours either. It literally took like 3 minutes for each one.
It was hours of intense work, and then we had
Poring
to,
over our journals, our writing
and then,
corners.
we had it. It was a collab.
Yeah.
right.
But then no, so that was we had to trim it down to like 30, 45 seconds, figuring all that out. We'll probably do different versions from time to time. And it was like maybe an hour ago that we figured out that we could do a logo,
Yeah.
and have the logo dance around. So
Right.
anyway, get to your Pepper Poppers.
Yeah,
Let's roll with it.
Before I get to my numbers 7, 6, and 5, I had another author reach out to me and wanted me to do a really quick book review. This one you can find on Amazon. It's called An Amazon Christmas. It's written by a couple very special people. Special
How
authors. Really
long
good.
was that behind you?
Enough?
Okay.
Enough to bring it out at an unexpected time without you guys knowing, because that's part of it. It's getting to be that time of year again, where Amazon Christmas, you can find it on Amazon Prime. All right, now back to my list. Number 7.
Number 7.
Before we get started, let's get this
Let's
one
see.
properly.
What is this? What do you got?
This is a classic El Yucateco. It's a habanero, and this is the chili habanero version.
Okay.
You can find this at most stores. It's a really good go-to for me.
So you're
it's
going
spicy.
up. You're going up in
this,
spice
yeah,
now.
this is definitely an up in spice
Okay.
one.
All right.
Yep. It won't come out.
You
fast
really
enough.
went after that one,
I did.
bud.
Let me see this thing. All right, just
Yeah, there we go.
This is what we've got going.
All right, so
Here we go.
To preface the next 3 on this list, these are people I personally know, and they've had a big impact on my life.
So there's no recommended biographies to read.
Correct.
Okay.
There are two of them that I will mention. I will give links to, and we'll put them in the description of the videos. Then that you can kind of see what they're doing. And
How's that spice hitting right now?
It's there, but I can work through this one. Unlike the
last one. I had to really help you through that one.
You did, but it was worth it.
Gotcha.
It's worth it in the end. So the top one, this one I'm gonna have to keep kind of ambiguous. It's the Jones family. I have known the Jones family for about 10 years now, and they made a big impact on my life. They weren't the first missionaries I ever met, but they were probably the ones I spent the most amount of time with, and they are doing some great work in a place that is very difficult to work in, hence me being very ambiguous about exactly who they are and where they're at and things they are doing. But that's just kind of goes to show you that there are missionaries like them that are out there in places that the world would not want them to be in, and that could lead places that would lead to jail time and some other severe consequences. So
the Jones family, number 7, current missionaries.
And I will not go any further in this short one, but that's as much as I can say. I'm not going to put a link to any of their stuff, but if you kind of want to know more about them, you can email us at popecreighton@gmail.com or hit me up on X at SpiceDaddy316, and maybe I can get you
You can connect a little
I can
bit.
connect you a little bit to them and how you can support them and the work they're doing. Great work, what they're doing. They're working with youth in a very hostile environment, I guess you could say. And yeah, I really appreciate them. They've taught me a lot and brought me, I guess, to where I am now. And so
To the Outlaw Radio Show.
That is correct. Yep. I'm feeling some tingly lips right now.
Yeah, no, you're starting to sweat a little.
Just a little.
A little bit under the eyes.
All right. Number 6 in my list of my top 10 missionaries.
Number 6.
This is a very personal one. I've known at least one of them my entire life. That would be my aunt and uncle, Kathy and John Clow. They are missionaries. They've been missionaries ever since I was, I guess, in middle school, maybe.
To aunt and uncle, what connection to the Holcomb family?
My mother's sister.
Okay, your mother's sister.
My mother's sister and her husband. So they started out, I believe, the first time I think I was still in high school, maybe middle school. They took a trip together to Ethiopia, and they brought back some stuff and told me about it, and that kind of just piqued my interest in the traveling and missionary kind of lifestyle. So they ended up getting married and going to, they moved to Mexico for a little while, lived there for a while, and then for, I don't know, probably longer than that, probably 15 or more years they've been in Honduras. So a lot of connections to Honduras, but they were in La Ceiba, which me and Creighton got to go to. And what's funny is while we were down there on the first trip, we were in La Ceiba and came up on somebody. I just said, "Hey, do you know John and Kathy Clow?" And they're like, and the lady was like, "Yeah, it was another missionary."
Nice.
And so that was kind of cool to see. They weren't there. My aunt and uncle weren't in Honduras at the time, but it was really cool to see that they were.
And so practically it gave you a family connection to the missionary life, the experience, the sacrifice.
Right.
You got to see all that kind of firsthand.
And like I said, I'll leave the links to to how you can help them out and kind of see what they're doing. They're currently in the States, and they'll end up going back to Honduras at some time. But they work for an organization called Mission to the World. And yeah, they're doing a lot of good stuff. They're working a lot with the street kids there in Honduras, and street kids are just basically orphans that live in the street. So, and yeah, a lot of stuff, family connection there. So, had to give them a shout out, doing some good work there in Honduras.
I mean, number 6 has to be a family connection. You can't leave family off the list.
Can't. Nope. All right. Let's move on to number 5.
Missionary number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
And this might be one of my favorite couples right now in missionary couples.
They're the hot missionary couple.
They are the hot missionary couples right now. And
that came out weird. I'm sorry.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
And I think you made it a little bit weirder.
Yeah, it's okay.
You did. Anyway, Kenneth and Nikki Snipes, talking to you. We are big
one of the
fans
hottest missionary couples out there right now.
That is right. Kenny's got a good beard.
Good beard.
Yeah. We've had Kenny on the Outlaw Radio program before, so if you want to kind of check out and hear what they're doing in Siguatepeque, Honduras, you can go back and look through the archives and find the link to watch that interview. But they're doing what they're doing is very unique in the missionary world,
which is why they get to 5.
Right. It's why they got to 5, and that's because they aren't necessarily going out and building orphanages and stuff like that. They are missionaries to missionaries,
which is cool.
It's really cool. It's different, and I really enjoy that. It's just being down there. They were randomness happened all the time, and I love that. One day you might be fixing a car, next you might be driving down to La Ceiba to go install a generator somewhere,
and you might end up fixing a car on the way to La Ceiba to fix a generator.
Yeah,
which sounds like personal experience.
Right. And just the support aspect of helping people that had been called to a place to do a certain thing, and being able to help multiple different people complete their calling.
That's very cool.
Is really cool. And again, they have an organization called Bridges Across the Mission Field, and we'll leave a link to theirs, how you can donate and check out where they're doing.
Real quick, because this is the only missionary that you're going to talk about that I have any personal experience with. One of the things that I noticed when we were down there with Kenneth is that he has a great rapport with everyone that we met.
Right.
Which, like, it isn't necessary to have a good rapport with the people you come into
It's a
contact
good thing
every
to
day.
do. Yeah.
But it just shows your character that, like, he is truly a light, not just to missionaries, which is what his calling is, but also to the people of Honduras that he interacts with every day. I thought it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and you
He
guys,
has a great
I
rapport.
mean, again, the first couple, the Apostles, George Whitfield, Jim Elliott, no connection to.
Right.
But in this context, this next batch, these are people that you've seen, you have a rapport with, you're testifying about.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's important. One thing I learned living overseas, and I wasn't a missionary per se, but like everybody seemed to want to know a missionary or know that they knew a missionary. And I hate that and love it at the same time. And these are 3 missionaries that I personally know, and I love telling people that I know them. So
they got this spice.
they got that spice. It's definitely spicy, makes the lips tingle a little bit. Got the Jones family at number 7, John and Kathy Clow at number 6, and the Snipes family at number 5. See you until next time, my little pepper poppers. Goodbye.
That's awesome. Yeah, sweet. So next week we'll roll out. It'll be 4, 3, and 2.
Yep.
And then we'll do a full recap, and then the week after it'll be your number 1 missionary, which
Number 1.
is great. And in fact, a little programming tease. We're going to probably do a whole episode kind of on that topic.
It's a
And
big one.
It's a big one. It's very much so.
I like that idea.
Yes. So, Creighton, why don't you take a moment, explain how the show's produced, who's behind it, et cetera, and then we're going to get to another segment. I think we're going to roll with.
We're going to go ahead and do the other segment.
Yes,
now?
but I'll give an intro to it. I'll give
Okay.
you time to get set up. But take a moment, explain Get Fed
So,
today.
Outlaw Radio we do a podcast. We'll be releasing the audio on Apple, Google, Spotify tomorrow. This goes out live, as Zach said, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And it's brought to you by a podcast called Get Fed Today, which is another project that we do here, which is it's a podcast you can subscribe to, and every week we upload 5 Bible studies from 5 different pastors that we know are solid pastors. So if you're looking for an easy way to get a large breadth of teaching, if you don't really know where to start, Get Fed Today is a great place to start. This week we actually just added 5 new pastors to our rotation. That would be Paul Laboutier, Ken Adams, which
That's
is
my
the
uncle.
3rd Adams that we've had on the podcast.
That's my uncle.
Eric Souza, Brett Mader, and Gary Hamrick. And this is their first week out. If you guys go show their audio some love, and thank you. Get Fed Today is great. If you don't know where to start, just scroll. We're at 657
That's
episodes,
awesome. Yeah,
I
that's
think.
great.
Just scroll and pick one, and you're going to have a good Bible study. Also, you can do that with the Outlaw Radio Show, and sometimes you'll get a good episode.
Right. So this is completely nonprofit. We're just doing this as really an internal project. It was one of those things that I was constantly being asked, for recommendations. Like, hey, who do you listen to? People at the church. Like, hey, when you're studying, I appreciate what you're doing on Sunday, but I need to be fed every day. And, just kind of looking around, like, is there anybody you would recommend? And so I would do that. But like, you get to a point, you subscribe to like 10 different podcasts, and it's overwhelming. And so I was like, you know what? Instead of just doing that, let's just roll out our own podcast. This is free access audio that we just go and we download and we post it, and we give credit to the person that did it, and give a direction where if you'd like to learn more about their ministry. And so it's a very cool thing. And, but we don't make any money on it. We're not monetizing it in any way. This is very much began really as a service to our church, Calvary 316, just to help out people, study God's word, in an in-depth way. And then it's public. So we promote it as well. Did Ed McTaggart talk to you on Sunday?
Yes, he came up to me during the podcast and said, "Hey, thanks for doing Get Fed Today."
Yeah, during
It
the
was really
potluck.
cool.
During the potluck. Yeah.
Potluck, not podcast.
Yes. No, he had come up to me
Yeah.
beforehand.
We
He was
should do a podcast during a potluck.
during a potluck. Podcasting and potlucks.
That sounds.
Fun.
Yeah, that's the word that I was looking for.
Ed came up to me and told me, like, hey, so appreciate, you guys doing Get Fed Today. I listened to all of it. So even if I'm the only one, I just wanted to say thank you. And I was like, hey, I appreciate that, Ed. Go let Creighton know. because he's the one that really does put in all the time, energy, and effort into it. So very cool things. Transitioning, and again, we're going to get to, in a few minutes, we're going to get to AI. We're going to get to how this ties in with Revelation 13, the image of the beast. I've got, I think, a really fun lead in. In fact, like, I'll tease you. You can be thinking about it, like, can AI actually pray for you? Is it like a legit prayer? Like, how does that work? Which is, again, a little tease. I brought this up to Spice Daddy in kind of our pre-production meeting out on the back deck, and he was like, I don't even know how I haven't even heard of that. That's crazy. So we're going to get to some of this stuff. Creighton's been chewing on it all day.
I have strong opinions.
It's a shocker, right?
I know, yeah.
I do also want to throw in, I was playing golf with a brother yesterday, and we were chit-chatting about life and church and whatnot. And we had plenty of time to talk because we were hacking the ball all over the place. But he made the comment about Outlaw Radio. He goes, what are you, like, he goes, I've been around church. He's in his mid-60s. He's like, I've been around church for decades. And he's like, we love Calvary 316 because you teach the Bible. You're the third pastor we've had that teaches expositionally. But like, Outlaw Radio is completely different. It's a completely unique format. It's a different type of a medium. And he made the comment that he really enjoys you guys and what you guys add to the show and your perspectives. And we're trying, again, with this kind of new season of Outlaw Radio to give you guys more organized outlets to share thoughts, from Pepper Poppers to Ifs to Dear Daddy, etc. As we were brainstorming for different segments, if you know me, I really am into what was Twitter, which is now X. The reason for that is that for, I don't know, the better part of maybe 15 years, from right out of college to my mid-30s, really up until Trump. This will make sense in a moment. I was a Drudge Report guy. So the internet's exploding. Like, you could go to 30 different websites to get the news, or you could go to Drudge Report. And Matt Drudge had this one simple page, and like, he didn't editorialize anything. He would break news occasionally, but he would just provide links to stories. And like, he became kind of like your news feed. And so you wanted to know what was going on each day, you'd go to the Drudge Report, and it kind of gave you a flyby of what was happening. And things that piqued your interest, you could dig into deeper. If you were ever a Rush baby, if you enjoyed Rush Limbaugh, his show, if you ever accessed the Ditto Cam, you would see that Rush on his big Apple monitor always had Drudge Report, always up. Drudge turned liberal with Trump. I don't know exactly what all happened with that. That's a whole nother topic. I stopped trusting, because I began to realize there is some editorializing going on in just what he posts, why he posts it. And I don't know if he sold it or not, or just had a change of philosophy, but like, I bailed from it. And that's when I kind of really discovered Twitter, because what Twitter allows you to do, or X, is it allows you to create basically kind of your own Drudge Report. And so you can control your feed, where you're able to follow whatever news organizations or sources. You control your content, basically. And there's two tabs. There's the following, so that's what you absolutely control. And then there's a suggested for you column, which is always fun, exposes you to some different things. But like my X is news, and like the Atlanta Braves, the Hawks, Georgia Bulldogs, like, I can control that. So I like it has substituted most of the news consumption. I get most of it from X. And you can say, oh, you're getting it from social media. Well, I control what I'm getting it from news sources. So I love posting and commenting and engaging on X on a wide array of topics.
Oh, it is.
So we become, we had almost the same algorithm.
Yeah, but like, following you, like, half the time I'll just watch what you're commenting on, and it is great.
And it'll be from anything. Like, I will rant on the Atlanta Braves. I had a post I did a little while ago about this Bristol Motor Speedway game and how much I hated every part of it. And like, someone like even jumped on there that I have no idea who it was. It was like, you're a pastor. Like, why are you bagging on something that's supposed to be family fun? And I'm like, blocked. I have blocked almost 30,000 accounts, because you can do that. Like, I'm not here to engage in you and talk to you. Like, anyway, I love X, and I love posting things. I love discovering different things. And so we thought what would be a good segment, be a little different, is that we were going to do a segment. We're calling it, now you got to follow me, XY of Z's posts. And before I get to one, we're going to roll a little intro video.
Oh, the XYZs post feel the beat.
The logo helps the explanation.
Every tweet, every thread, he's taking a heat. Tax on the case in a digital race. The XYZs post, he's setting the pace.
I can watch it fade out. Yeah. I mean, I could see the video. We don't, in the studio, just so you know, like, you'll see a lot of podcasts and everybody's wearing headphones, and they're wearing headphones so they can hear the production end of it. Or like if the producer's behind a wall of some kind, wants to communicate so that you can hear, but that's not actually entering the show. So
that your mics are clean.
Your mics are clean. Because this is conversational and we're in the same room, and Creighton produces, but he's also on the show. We don't do the headphone thing. We just talk and whatnot. Now, when we do like a video like that, we leave the mics live, and Creighton's very adamant that we're quiet about it.
That was like watching live one of your X things.
It kind of was.
Yes, it was.
All right, so let's get to an
I don't
X.
know what that means.
Let's get to
it. I'm not on X.
Let's get to an X, Y of Z's posts.
Yes.
So I have a post. Happened this week. In fact, it was on Monday, August 11th. I replied actually to a post from a great account. So you have Babylon B. Babylon B is great. It's like the Onion for Christians. It really started kind of as a Christian thing where they were satirically making fun of a lot of things within church culture that you would have to be in church culture to find funny. Like worship leader dies after getting caught in the infinite loop of singing oceans. You know, like this is funny things that within church culture. But they got bought out. It's more broad. They get into politics. They dabble with all kinds of different things. But Not the Bee, same company, is not satirical. It's kind of like more of their serious news site. And so you can run across some good things. Now, I saw Not the Bee post something on Monday, but I immediately saw it. I mean, it popped up all over the place. Like, I was seeing people retweet different news sources. Like, news broke. Now, I saw this on Not the Bee. And they had, it was an article link was the post. And it was a link to ABC News exclusive. And the title of the exclusive was Supreme Court formally asked to overturn Obergefell ruling on gay marriage. And again, I saw that and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I need to do a little digging into this before I just jump in. Before I comment, before I editorialize, like, again, and you should do that. Like, you read a headline, you need to dig deeper to really understand what's happening. And in fact, what I discovered prompted me to actually reply. It's been the most viewed tweet I think I've ever had, because again, you're commenting on a common thread. But this is what I posted. So this is Z's post, and I'm gonna on X, and I'll give you the Y in a moment. But I posted, this seems like a misleading headline. SCOTUS will hear enough to consider whether or not they'll actually hear the appeal. And again, the headline was Supreme Court formally asked to overturn Obergefell ruling on gay marriage. That's not true. SCOTUS will hear enough to consider whether or not they'll actually hear the appeal. They could decide to not have the case come before the court at all. Which is a more accurate statement. And so I want to read a little bit of the ABC article and then add some commentary about this, because I do think it's fascinating. I think it's just there's some interesting things afoot, some things that we might even revisit later in the Outlaw Radio episode. So 10 years ago, after the Supreme Court extended marriage rights to same-sex couples nationwide, the article states that this fall, the court will consider for the first time whether to take up a case that explicitly asked them to overturn the decision, which by the way, the opening line of the ABC article discredits the headline that they used. Again, this is clickbait. That's why you got to be careful. They want you to think, hey, they're going to overturn gay marriage. No, that's not what's happening. And we have to be careful with that. So the article continues. Kim Davis, and I remember when all this took place. I remember her, very homely looking lady. Kim Davis, the former Kentucky county clerk who was jailed for 6 days in 2015 after refusing to issue marriage licenses to a gay couple on religious grounds, is appealing a $100,000 jury verdict for emotional damages plus $260,000 for attorney fees. So if you don't recall, you had all these states that had bans on gay marriage. You had a bunch of states that had legalized gay marriage. So one particular court case got to the Supreme Court, and in one sweeping ruling, they validated all of the state law accepting gay marriage, and they declared all of the state laws banning gay marriage as being unconstitutional. Now, Kentucky's one of those states that had laws saying that it was unconstitutional. Kim Davis was solely in charge of issuing marriage licenses. Well, you had a gay couple come in, want a marriage license, and she refused to issue it under like federalist concepts of like, hey, we're a state, we have our own local law. I don't agree with the Supreme Court. But she also said that this was under religiously, she's a Christian, that she could not in good conscience issue the marriage license. Well, she got arrested. She was in jail for 6 days. It went to a jury trial. She was fined $100,000 and ultimately had $260,000 of attorney fees. And if you've seen a picture of Kim Davis, that bankrupted her. Now, continuing, an cert petition filed last month, and if you don't know what a cert petition is, that's important. A cert petition is a formal written request to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to review and potentially reverse a decision made by the lower court. So that's a cert petition. So in this asking, Davis argues First Amendment protection for free exercise of religion immunizes her from personal liability for the denial of a marriage license. More fundamentally, the claim that the High Court's decision in Obergefell v. Hodge extending marriage rights for same-sex couples under the 14th Amendment due process protections was egregiously wrong. So she's arguing two things: religious infringement, but then she's also challenging like the fundamental legality of the Supreme Court's ruling. The petition marks the first time since 2015 that the court has been formally asked to overturn the landmark marriage decision. Davis is seen as one of the only Americans currently with legal standing to bring a challenge to the precedent. And that's important because in order to challenge something, you have to show personal harm has been done. Like you can't, like there has to be someone behind the case. And she fits the description. Quote, if there's ever been a case of exceptional importance, her attorney wrote, the first individual in the Republic's history who was jailed for following her religious convictions regarding the historic definition of marriage, this should be it. Davis's petition argues the issue of marriage should be treated the same way that the court handled the issue of abortion and the 2022 decision to overturn Roe versus Wade, which is what makes this very interesting. She zeroes in on Clarence Thomas's concurrence in that decision, in which he explicitly calls for revisiting Obergefell. So what that means is that when the court overturned Roe versus Wade, in the concurring opinion written by Clarence Thomas, a very conservative judge, he wrote in that concurrence that the justices should reconsider all of the court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell. So, like, they overturned Roe versus Wade because the conclusion is that they used the 14th Amendment, the due process clause, inappropriately. The court doesn't have the ability to write law. That's what they did. In one sweeping moment, they made abortion legal across the country but there's no constitutional authority for that. So they overturn Roe. Clarence Thomas is like, under the same predicate, there are a bunch of other cases that we now have to look at related to the 14th Amendment and the Due Process Clause, specifically mentioning gay marriage. Thomas wrote at the time, referring to the landmark decision dealing with fundamental rights to privacy, due process, equal protection rights, this needed to be looked at. The court, and this is what's important, is expected to formally consider Davis's petition this fall during a private conference when the justices discuss internally what cases they're going to add to their docket. So that's all that it is. If the case is accepted, it would likely be scheduled for oral arguments next spring. The case would be decided at the end of June 2026, but the Supreme Court could just as easily decline the case, refuse to hear it, allowing the lower court ruling to stand and avoid like the entire complication. Now, what I think is interesting is, so a lot of this will be dependent upon the Chief Justice, John Roberts, who was billed to us as a conservative, but has been all over the map. In fact, did not vote to overturn Roe versus Wade. I believe he just abstained from voting. But Chief Justice John Roberts, among the current members of the court, he actually dissented in the Obergefell case a decade ago, sharply criticizing the ruling that at the time it was, quote, an act of will, not a legal judgment, with, quote, no basis in the Constitution. So the Chief Justice, who kind of positions himself as a swing vote, back with Obergefell, had problems with its constitutionality. That's why he voted against it. He also warned at the time that it could create serious questions about religious liberty, which Ken Davis's case is very much about. In her petition, she actually cited John Roberts, and she's hoping, so what it takes for a cert petition to actually get 2 oral arguments before the courts, you need 4 justices, 4 of the 9, to agree that it needs to come before the court. So if Clarence Thomas is there, if Roberts is there, you just need 2 more. And it seems very likely under that idea, and I think with some of the reading the tea leaves, that it could be heard. But again, if you saw, hey, they're going to overturn same-sex marriage, that's not what's going on. The court approved the first step, and that's that they would hear enough to then make a decision internally whether or not they would actually put the case on the docket. So again, I hope that clears up an issue. I think it's an important issue. I think Christians were largely silenced on that particular debate, shamed into shutting up. I think a lot of things have changed now, and I think we're beginning to see that we've been played in a lot of ways, and that we should be vocal, that we should stand for biblical truth, and we should stand on the simple principle that the state has no right to define something that's reserved to God. God defined marriage. Historically, it's an independent of man's law. God set the precedent. And I think as a result, what we've seen, because we've ceded God's authority to man, is that not only have we ended up with like this same-sex marriage deal, but then it's quickly then moved into the transgender rights. Like, it didn't stop there. It's gotten toxic. We now have like this grotesque practices of same-sex couples hiring women to produce babies for them, surrogacy. It's like it opened up a whole can of worms, and then also opened up the infringement on religious freedoms, persecution of Christians. I hope this gets overturned. I hope we're vocal about it. I hope they pick up the case, and I think that this is a good opportunity for that. But we'll see. So anyway, that's the first XY of Z's posts. How was it? How was that? Good?
It's good.
I cannot imagine them overturning, because I remember I was in high school, I think, when it got set up, and so my whole adult life, gay marriage has been legal. I don't know what's going to happen. That sounds like it's going to be freaking crazy.
I heard the same thing for 50 years about Roe versus Wade.
Me too.
I'm
on the same page with Roe, and here we are.
So there's Gateway Pundit, I think, had a pretty lengthy argument going back to so Anthony Scalia was also on the bench when gay marriage was legalized. He wrote a lengthy dissent. It's worth the read. It's very academic. But like the one thing that Anthony Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg had in common is that they both understood that the fundamental problem with Roe versus Wade is that they removed this cultural topic from the will of the people.
I think
and that happened with abortion. They removed it from the will of the people. If the people come together and say, we want this to be legal, that's one thing. But that's not what happened with abortion. In fact, the majority of people said no, and they overrode the will of the people by legalizing something that the Constitution never spoke. They wrote, their verdict made law, and that's not what the judiciary is supposed to do. They're supposed to interpret law, apply law. But the same basic concept of behind Roe versus Wade, Scalia wrote extensively, was the same problem that he had with Obergefell, because it took this topic out of the natural
order of things,
the order of how American society functions. And that's like, okay, we dealt with slavery. Could the Supreme Court overturn slavery? No. That's not how slavery was overturned. And if the court had done it, it would have been a problem. But what happened? The court stayed out of it and allowed America to have a civil war over it. And America reached its own conclusion to the point that like the abolition of slavery had to go through, like, there's a constitutional amendment that had to get, 2/3 ratification of the state. Like, there's a process by which we can change cultural norms within our republic. The court overstepped in Roe. That was terrible. The court overturned that on that ground. The same predicate, however you feel about same-sex marriage, doesn't really matter. It's all about how things work legally in America.
And I think that's a failure on the education system in the terms of civics. Like, how does our system of government work?
But people don't know.
People just don't know. Like, the Supreme Court doesn't make laws. They just sit, like, even the Roe versus Wade stuff. It wasn't this is legal or this is illegal. It was this is not proper under the Constitution. And so people don't understand how the executive and the Congress works and the judicial branch. They don't understand how each one of those are separate and they all have different functions.
You do not want to live in a society where 9 robes on a bench determine the morality of your country.
No.
There are a lot of examples of that in other places. We have separation of powers. We have 3 branches for a reason, because they each designed with constitutional rights to protect the abuse of power. It is one of the things that, and again, Trump is just doing, he's following through with the precedent that was established. Clinton dabbled in it. Bush leaned a little further into it, but then Obama went full. Remember, Obama said, "I'll do this with a phone and a pen. Like, I will. Like, I don't need the legislative branch to push through my agenda. I'll do this with an executive order." Biden did the same thing. And what happens with executive orders? The next executive comes in and can just completely ignore those orders and rewrite them. That's not what we want. People are like, well, Congress stinks and it doesn't function. That's the design. Like, it's not supposed to work or function, meaning that anything that Congress actually can deal with is so overwhelmingly accepted by the people that they all get on board, like it or not. People had a big problem with healthcare in America. Obama couldn't just institute Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act. They had to push that through Congress. Like it or not, that's what happened. And they were able to push it through Congress. Now, Trump came in and was going to reverse that through Congress, and John McCain torpedoed it. But there are ways that things are supposed to be slow. even like as slow as molasses, but there's an intention behind that. So
Because a lot of the times when you see huge political swings in a country, it ends up poorly.
yes.
Like when you have just huge, somebody comes in and changes everything real fast, things end up poorly.
Yes. So the topic for tonight, AI. AI's crazy. Again, we've shown some examples of this tonight with some of these intro songs we've rolled out. I mean, just trippy. Just
I don't think people understand those songs, the lyrics, the music, and the singing was not done by a human.
Yeah.
And the motion graphics.
And the
Zach
motion
made
graphic.
the graphic, and then AI made it move.
yes, absolutely. People don't really, I don't think, realize what's happening with AI. I don't think Democrats get it. I don't think Republicans get it. I don't think anybody over the age, I won't even make it an age thing. I think if you're over the age of maybe 45, you have no idea what's happening. But even younger people are, like, there's a very small group of people that really understand what AI is and what's happening presently and what's going to happen in the next couple of years. AI was a concept in the 50s, an unimaginable concept. Early dabblings of artificial intelligence, which is what AI stands for, began in 2012. It was like the early versions of like experimenting around with it. AI didn't become, this blew my mind. It didn't really become even something that moved beyond theory until 2020. Like, it was in 2020 during a global pandemic, by the way, which no one's paying attention to, the tech world. Like, computer programming, the algorithms, like it became a force, and then Silicon Valley billionaires started dumping tons and tons of money into what then was no longer theory, but could be achieved. And you had the early days of OpenAI, which then I think got bought by Microsoft, and Google's been dealing with this, and then Elon Musk has to get into the game, and you got all these different things. If you go to Grok, I did this today, and you ask what will AI look like in 2 years? What it'll tell you will actually horrify you. We are looking at a complete reshuffling of how economies and societies function in the next 2 years, and even more dramatically by 2030. The programming speed, like once you get to the point that AI can now write AI a little better than it was, game over, because it'll then do that exponentially, and it supersedes human. It's already superseded human intelligence. It is like, and people don't fully get it, but like if you work in banking, if you have anything to do with processing any type of information or applying any information, like your jobs are gonna be gone in 2 or 3 years. Like I watched a podcast with a guy with a startup. Guy's done several startups throughout the years. And he's like, I got 2 employees, 2 people. And I got AI doing all the back end. That would have taken 5 years ago 300 coders. Like, it's unreal what's happening. Your service industry, your voice service helps. Like, you will call a company and you're wanting a human on the line. You'll get one. And you'll have no idea it's AI.
Hey, you can even go, like, went to Bojangles a couple weeks ago. Go through the drive-thru. You're talking to an AI at the drive-thru, and it's taking your order for you.
Yeah. So Elon Musk is banking on like creating the material to be able to get Starship as big as they want it. Like, we don't have the material to actually do that. But he's banking on the fact that AI will create that material in the next year and a half. Like, he's betting billions of dollars on that, and he's a smart dude. Like, we're talking about, you're like, okay, well, robots. Wait till AI can program the robot. Like we are looking at, and I'm telling you, we're looking at something that we're not as a society prepared for. And you can say, oh, well, at one point, there was a bunch of horse and buggies, and then the automobile changed everything. Yes, I get that. We're talking about something different.
So you're describing the optimization problem, which is it took us 1,000 years to go from stone to bronze, another 1,000 years to go from bronze to iron, 1,000 years to go from iron to the horse and buggy. And then it took us like 100 years to go from horse and buggy to the airplane. And like to make that, the airplane was invented in 1905, I think was the first
The
flight.
Wright brothers, yeah.
The Wright brothers.
Yeah.
We were using it in war 13 years later. In 1918, we were using it in World War One. We have every generation gets faster at increasing our technology. So 100 years ago, we were learning to fly. Now we're learning space. And AI does that at 100-fold. At 100-fold times.
It completely removes the human element out.
It gets so much faster each time it regenerates. You were talking about as soon as it can program itself, it's game over.
Yeah.
Because if it can program itself, it can do that 1 million times a second. And immediately it's smarter. I was looking it up.
Yeah.
ChatGPT 4.5, according to some reports, has passed the Turing test. Which means that it's indistinguishable from a human being.
Yeah. No, it's
terrifying.
It is unbelievable what's happening. We're not ready for it.
There's a couple of movies based on this.
There's a bunch of movies based on this. Westworld is an HBO show that
I was thinking more like The Matrix and The Terminator.
Yes. Applying this to us as Christians, we're going to get to Revelation 13 in a second. So I was not going to do this episode tonight. I wasn't even thinking about it until this morning. Jessica got home from the gym and we were having coffee, chit-chatting. And I was like, I got to figure out what I'm going to be doing tonight. I've got a few ideas. And she was like, I heard this conversation on the radio and you should look into it because I think this would be very interesting. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I started digging. I want to introduce you to somebody I didn't know anything about until this morning. His name is Ron Carpenter Jr. He was born in rural Greenville County, South Carolina. He was the son of the senior, who was a preacher in International Pentecostal Holiness churches. The junior wanted to go into ministry in 91. Him and his wife Hope founded Redemption World Outreach Center in Greenville, South Carolina. By 2008, the church was 21,000 members. I've never even heard of this church. Multiple campuses. May of 18, they relocated the headquarters from Greenville to San Jose, California. Took over Jubilee Christian Center, renamed it Redemption Church. They have 2 different sites, Greenville and California. They've got 14,000 members at the main campus, additional branches. It is a mega Pentecostal church. I knew nothing about Ron Carpenter Jr. But this is what gets interesting. So last December, he came on. The church was launching an app. The app was called Ron Carter Ministries Advanced Archive. And on one level, what the app was, it was one place that you could get all of his teaching media and archive. It's kind of the idea. So the app had everything he's ever taught, preached, etc., built into this application. But it was powered by Innovatix AI. You can find the app. You won't find the app on any other websites because there was some controversy. But it's still on Apple. It's on Google. It's titled Ron Carpenter AI. And it's branded as the app to, quote, transcend traditional time and access barriers by providing personalized interactions with, guess for it, Pastor Ron. It's a subscription service. It's $49 a month, but it features an AI-generated version of Pastor Ron Carpenter that facilitates one-on-one interactions, including AI-led prayers, spiritual counseling, advice in Ron's own voice. Users have unlimited calls and messages with Pastor AI Ron. They can request prayers at any time. with the AI responding based on Carpenter's teaching and style. Carpenter explained that the app allows users to have their, quote, own personal pastor with software that will evolve over time with the congregant possessing the ability to reference past conversations, personalizing their responses. It learns you. So you have a personal relationship with Pastor Vaughn. If you think I'm nuts, we pulled a video off of YouTube. This is Pastor Ron kind of giving a tease for what this would be, but it gives you an example. Craig, roll this.
Okay, I'd love to have my own personal pastor, so I hit the Ron Carpenter Ministries archive and I call Pastor Ron. And after I call Pastor Ron, let's say, you know what? Let's say I'm not feeling good in my body.
Carpenter, how can I help?
Pastor Ron, I'm not feeling well today. Could you pray for me?
Creighton.
Hey there. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. Let's
Are
take
we-
a
are we-
moment to pray
are we there?
together.
Are we off? Where are we at?
Heavenly
It's still
Father,
going.
I
Oh, it's
thank
still
you
going.
that you know us and hear us. Right now, I lift up my friend to you. I ask for your healing touch to be upon.
You'll know more about it? You have to wait. We'll tell you later.
If you go with hand motions 2 and then 0, I'm thinking we're at 0.
Oh, well, we were not.
Justin had the same reaction.
I can tell you one thing. You're never going to see me, Justin Spice Daddy Holcomb, ever do an AI version of me. You will always get the real Spice Daddy drinking hot sauce for you, my little pepper poppers.
Solid.
Challenge accepted.
No, it doesn't matter. What
Challenge.
what- It's just never going to
Skeeves
happen.
me out.
So share your thoughts before we kind of...
That skeeves me out so much for a few reasons. Like, for instance, you and I have been doing ministry together for a decade and a half or something at this point. If anybody asked me, hey, what does Zach think about anything? It's, I don't know. I'm not Zach. The idea of having someone with my name and voice giving out opinions,
Advice,
about
counseling, prayers.
anything, let alone spiritual things, about anything with my name and voice is horrifying.
I wouldn't take it seriously, but I would like to see it.
I mean, well,
I mean, that's...
well, yeah, as a gag, it would be fun, but as like a legitimate thing. And then the idea of having it pray for you is,
Yeah, how do we feel about that?
that's abhorrent. Oh, that's wrong. I don't like it.
I have thoughts on it,
Okay, let's...
but I don't know if it fits in before or after you go through what
Well,
you're
let's
going
just
through.
find out.
So I feel like it leaves an opening for spiritual manipulation of the prayer and or the information that is given. But that's as far as I'll go. I think it's a neutral thing that can build, but it also builds on the faults of man. So if there is spiritual manipulation, very, very easy for it to become manipulated by Satan and fallen angels and stuff like that. But it also leaves room for, I mean, God could use it also. But I think it's a dangerous precipice for us to be standing on, to be put all faith and trust into something that's based on the knowledge of man.
For sure.
Can you imagine somebody coming up to you and being like, hey, I followed that advice you gave me. You know, I told my wife to take a hike that time she asked me to clean the dishes. And you're like, yeah, I didn't say that. And they play you a clip of you saying, yeah, you should tell your wife to take a hike when she tells you to clean the dishes.
They're already using that in scam calls.
I realize that.
Yeah.
But this is somebody that you trust who thinks they trust you.
Now, I will say, in fairness, I don't think anyone's going into that thinking they're getting a prayer from Pastor Ron. They understand, like, it is an AI. Like, they understand.
100% people believe they think that. I do not think that people... I think the level of smartness that requires is lower than it actually is. Like, I think that there are people that are going to go into that saying, oh, yeah, it's AI, but absolutely attribute what the AI says to Pastor Ron.
I feel like this could very easily move into a golden calf moment for most people.
For sure.
For sure. Oh, I think it could, like, Revelation 13 maybe gives us some insight into, like, where this ultimately leads. Let me ask another question, though. Again, we're trying to be fair to the topic. there will no longer be like one of the industries that will go will be counseling, because AI will have all of the world's information on how to diagnose and counsel whatever problem that you might have. Like, you can go now to Gronk and have a conversation, and it will give you really insightful advice on what your problems are. Like, as far as counseling goes, can you trust AI? I think you could trust AI maybe more than a person.
Well, we already have examples of this. You have ChatGPT telling kids to how to kill themselves and stuff already.
Well, but we're talking about outliers. Like, we want to be fair to the topic, and being fair to the topic is not to pull an outlier. It's like Jessica and I, just for fun, we've sat down and be like, hey, Gronk, we're dealing with a 13-year-old boy that blah, 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 blah. What advices would you give us? And you're like, oh my goodness, that's solid. Like, keep in mind, like, AI is not inventing information. It's systematically, very quickly processing information available to it with algorithms enhancing what's valid or not. You're going to get to a point within 2 years that when you go to a doctor, you're not going to be prescribed something from a human being, nor will you be diagnosed. Like, even now, AI is doing a better job diagnosing scans than people are. That's your physical body.
But I feel like
it will tell you what you need to do. Go to the emergency room right now.
But I feel like psychologically, we as Christians have to look at, like, do we trust the world's advice, or which most of the time AI is getting the knowledge from the world base, or are we going through the biblical? Does AI give you enough biblical?
If you ask for it, it will. If you prompt it, like, it's changed my study habits. Like, for Sunday morning,
I mean, it changed I'm musically impaired, and as of last Wednesday, I'm producing music. So
I'm just saying, like it's, again, you can say, you can knock it. It's like, hey, I love Pastor Ron, or let's forget about Pastor. I love Pastor Zach. Pastor Zach pastors 21,000 people. I appreciate Pastor Zach's perspective and insights, and so we take everything I've ever said, we run it into an AI where people can receive a personalized version of what I would say to them. Like, to me, the part of it that gets weird is, can AI pray?
So the thing that gets, because what I'm about to say will get there, and the thing that I have an issue with is personalization, which is any time that you are giving the AI a personality, not just a personality, but a persona, especially if that is of a real person. That freaks me out. Have you ever seen the movie Her?
I know.
Like,
but there was not a real
thing.
But there
we are.
Oh, we're there.
2 years from Her.
We're there,
if not less.
We're there, and there'll be a robot behind it in 5.
Oh yeah.
Like, that'll be there. Like, this is all. Everything is about to change in a way that we've never seen it. Like, we're going to experience something very similar to, like, the Industrial Revolution, where
the AI revolution, but not like the Terminator 2 AI revolution.
No,
but the AI revolution.
This will be something radically different.
It's pretty awesome. I was watching a little documentary on YouTube the other day of humpback whales, and they fed in like microphone stuff, and we're not far off from being able to communicate with humpback whales just based on
how the AI is
processing it and building a language and stuff. And it was a short video, but man, it was really interesting.
So let me get to Revelation 13.
Yeah.
For the sake of time, I'm going to skip the first half of the chapter, which talks about the rise of the antichrist. If you want a full, like, in-depth commentary on Revelation 13, go to Calvary316.tv, go to the bottom of the page or click teaching, go to my Revelation series, and I did one whole study through this particular chapter. Verse 11, though, John writing, "Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, spoke like a dragon. He exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." So there's another beast. His job is to point attention to the first beast, the Antichrist, and to compel the world to worship the Antichrist. To validate his authority, verse 13, he performs great signs so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth to the sight of men, which was an Old Testament thing. He deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived, so the Antichrist. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except those who have the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. His number is 666. Now, what seems to be happening here is you have the rise of the Antichrist. Following him, you have the rise of the false prophet. We're in a time period where this is not just a political leader. It is a global demonic religion. There is no pluralism. You're either going to worship the Antichrist or you're going to die. There's no in between. Like, there's a full pledge of loyalty. It's what this whole mark of the beast is about. You take the mark and you worship the Antichrist. You refuse the mark and you die. That's where we're at. Now, part of the dynamic here in regards to the enforcement of this global religious order is omnipresence. So like today, like Christianity exists because we serve an omnipresent Jesus. Jesus went to heaven. His spirit is with us. And thus he can work here and he can work in other parts of the world at the same time. He's not tethered to time and space, location. God is omnipresent. And that practically gets manifesting in our world. Not that Jesus is omnipresent, he's in heaven, but we have the Holy Spirit who is omnipresent. My point being is that you have the Antichrist, you have the false prophet, but how is this global religion enforced across the globe all at once? And what seems to be is that there is this other thing that emerges, this image. It is the image not of itself, it is the image of the Antichrist. That's very clearly articulated. And this image of the Antichrist, who is a physical being, his person is extended into this image that comes alive. And this image has an omnipresent element because it enforces the worship of the Antichrist on a global scale all at once. This has confounded biblical scholars for centuries. Like, how is this even possible? And yet, using Pastor Ron, who never had this intention, like that's a glimpse into what we're talking about. We're talking about an AI in the image and personality of an individual that is global and can enforce all at once. So I think absolutely, like, what we're looking at here is like, can one person have his personality in person omnipresent on the planet? The answer would be yes, because that's what we're going to see with AI. Like, they've even had thought experiments, crazy ones, about like getting to the point of being able to upload your human consciousness into an AI so that when you technically die, you're still alive living in a robot. It seems sci-fi and crazy, but like the technology is very interesting and like where this all leads. So the image comes alive. The image is the reflection, not just even the reflection. It is the personification, the embodiment of the Antichrist, endued with power from this religious false prophet. I watched, Jessica told me to check out this video, and I could not help but think about like we will have an omnipresent false God, false Christ, false Savior, antichrist. And we are seeing the early elements of how this will be absolutely possible. Which, again, if you're looking for signs and wonders and trying to read the tea leaves on it all, this has been such a mystery because the technology has never existed that even makes this even a concept until literally the day and age you're living in and the next 2 to 3 years. I had a lady at church come up and she says, I've been looking at all these different teachers online, and they're all talking about the end is near and Jesus is coming back soon. Like, what are your thoughts about it? And I'm like, well, I try not to get into a lot of that date setting, and listen, like a few EMPs, and like we can go back to the Stone Age pretty quick, or not, because at some point AI will protect itself, and like it's even now like certain AIs like won't tell the creators where it's deriving its power from. Like it's like we get some weird things going on right now. So my point in bringing up this topic of AI and this particular example of Ron Carpenter and all this is like it gives such insight into Revelation 13 and like how this even now kind of makes sense. And where things are going, and maybe the reality that, hey, as Christians, the return of Jesus is imminent. Like when I say the return of Jesus calling the church home, the rapture, can happen at any moment, any time. Yeah, Israel becoming a country, different things going on with Russia, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I look at AI, and I'm thinking, holy Toledo. I've been to Toledo. There's nothing holy about it. But dang. Like, I could see that. And like we're real close to that when we've never been before. And that excites me to an extent. You guys' thoughts before we wrap it up?
Repent, the end is nigh. We're closer to the end than we ever have, which is the stupidest thing to anybody ever says. But it is true every time that people say it. But my goodness, are we getting close? Now is not the time, it never has been, but now is not the time to put off following Jesus. And it's certainly not the time to put off telling someone about Jesus, because the end is nigh.
And man, the world that this will look like, because ultimately like AI will be a man creating his own God. Mm-hmm. Like this is what this was the original lie in the garden. What? Eat of the fruit and you can be like God. Well, man has tried to be God throughout centuries. But the problem is that each man's limited to that man. Like the spirit of Babylon, the spirit of the human conscience and rebellion against God. We are seeing it embodied within AI. That it is the embodiment of man and human wisdom, human prowess and power. I watched a podcast the other day they were talking about how AI is integrating within military equipment, and like this, and he was like, one of the guys was like, don't ever go to the Air Force. There's no there will never be we're never going to have a war with fighter pilots.
Right, because at this point, AI can drive everything.
It can do it better. Like you can have somebody in the pilot seat that has multiple PhDs across like every field you can think of. It's not just like humanity. You can maybe be an expert in one thing, two things, but AI can be an expert in everything. It's why it can read a CT scan. Like you get your CT scan and you've got to go to the oncologist. You got to go to, the varying ists, because each person specializes in a different part of that MRI, that CAT scan. They can't see the other things that the other doctors will see. That's what AI has all of the disciplines of all of the ists, and it therefore can just, for every specialty, give you a more accurate diagnosis, cross-pollinating of the varying issues and what they can do. Like, again, it is the exaltation of man and I think absolutely will play a role, and it's in man's destruction and ultimate judgment. Spice, final thoughts.
AI right now is a tool, and just like the wheel, the car, the airplane, television, radio, it can be used to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I think for the time being, until we get to that point, we need to use all tools available to us, and whether that be creating theme songs for bits for podcasts, or helping pastors prepare good solid studies for Sunday morning.
Or how about translating the gospel into every language?
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think I don't want to dissuade people, especially like a lot of the older generation, or even people my age that are kind of jumping into, we're right on that. Our generation is on the cusp of Gen X and the millennials, and we got both aspects of basically pre-computer or pre-modern computer and like modern computer, and the technology that's there, and we shouldn't be afraid of the technology. Find ways to use it. I mean, it can be used in the short time that we have to propagate what we are called to do anyway.
I completely agree with you, and I think that's hey, it's an amoral thing.
Right.
The irony is that at some point it might become a moral.
Well, I mean,
thing.
it's just like the internet and television right now, right? There's a lot of immoral stuff on television and the internet, but you know what? There's a lot of great stuff on there too.
Yeah. Anyway, we got any final thoughts? Thought that was a good episode. Well, if you've never checked out Outlaw Radio, this is your first time. A couple things I want to share with you as we close. Justin can roll some music. If you're watching, which is awesome, check out the podcast. So what you've been watching, what you've been viewing gets released as a podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, any place that you get your podcasting. Check it out. Podcasts, the audio, easy thing to share, easy way to pass it along. Maybe you've stumbled across the podcast, and so you've been listening to tonight's episode, and like you've heard us talk about these intros. You've heard the song, but you didn't see the graphics, and you're trying to imagine what we even look like. If you're listening podcast, check out the live stream. We live stream again Wednesday nights, 8:00. Facebook, X, our YouTube channel, outlawradio.live, and every episode gets archived. So you can go back and archived on the podcast, archived as well on the YouTube channel. And so you can go back, check things out, and enjoy it. We'd love to hear from you. PopeCreighton@gmail.com is our email address. Hope you guys do well. And we'll see you guys next week. God bless. You were leaning in.
And if